Reading taught me to advance, concentrate, point blank. I learned that I was wider than the width, longer than the length of the universe. First verse, understand. What I demonstrate deals with every man and woman. Here's the concept. We represent the 12 tribes, based upon the calendar that runs all our lives. I'm the Genesis. In other words, I begin from the first tribe of Reuben to the man Benjamin. It's hereditary. In my nature, genes, character evolves from the kings and the queens we descend from. We possess abilities some people call high technologies. It's magical. We got connections with the stars, the blackness of the whole, to planets like Mars. I communicate in so many different tongues, but I was taught one, so I don't babble on. With the evil ones, not equivalent to God, Emmanuel, Solomon, Moses with the rod. It's obvious that we may live eternally because the end of time is the end of me. Now go and look it up, read, learn, study for yourself. If you want that knowledge, get the book off the shelf and look it up, read, learn, study for yourself. If you want this knowledge, get the book off the shelf. My anatomy, similar to none.
So you mean to say the sun reflects heat waves from the sun?
Intellectually, I'm mathematically inclined.
To add and subtract all the things I combine.
With my metaphor, I manifest all thoughts. I see through wicked schemes and watch evil plots to divide me from my culture, roots, and separate my mankind to many different groups. It's impossible because the foundation derives from the seed of a strong nation. Total excellence. We create things at will, born with the talent to destroy and to build like a mason. But multiply me by 10, add 30 more degrees, and I come right back again. Evolutionary. I'm a doctor, professor, scientist, surgeon, and a king under pressure. Phenomenal. The first wonder of the world. With the ability to reproduce a boy or a girl in my likeness. This is science at its best, huh? So next time you want to test first, go and look it up, read, learn, study for yourself. If you want the knowledge, get the book off the shelf and look it up. Read, learn, study for yourself. If you want that knowledge, get the book off the shelf. In the school system, history is his story. Rarely do they tell the truth about the fame and the glory of my ancestors. There's so many hidden facts of all the things created by the ones they call blacks. I'll explain it to you.
Why don't you start with Dr. King?
Positive black man with a vision and a dream.
And guess who's next? That brother Malcolm X.
Yeah, he spent 10 years, got released, and then flexed to the east. We can't forget Marcus Garvey. Back to Africa was his motto, and his hobby was the Black Star Line. He also prophesied about the emperor named King Selassie I. W.E.B. Last name, Dubois, founder of the NAACP. You should know Mary McLeod Bethune, Harriet Tubman too, George Washington Carver, Dr. Charles Drew, Garrett Morgan. He invented the traffic light. First black man on the Supreme Court, Jonathan Wright. If you don't believe me, go check it for yourself. All you have to do is grab the book off the shelf and look it up. Read, learn, study for yourself. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
A little over a year ago, a young man walked into Ujamaa Place looking for employment. Unfortunately, he was out of our age bracket. But he came back again and again. He said, I like what's going on at Ujamaa Place. He kept coming back, I said, I need to hire you. His name was Gary L. Another hand for Gary L, please. This young man has a full-time job, and I worry because when he get out of work, he comes to Ujamaa, and he becomes our evening CEO. His job is to close the place up, and I always call his wife because I know you got to keep the marriage going now. You know? He's so young that they still qualify for the newlywed game. But thank you, Gary.
You're welcome, sir.
Good morning. I want to welcome all of you here to Ujamaa's celebration and commemoration of Black History Month. as we celebrate our 10th year of operation, our gift to you. So we're just so pleased that so many of you with the kids come out on this frigid morning to celebrate with us today. We're very excited about the format that we have put together with you. We have local legends that'll be here today, and we're just so honored that they willingly agreed to come and share their talent, their skills with us as we go along. Monique Shaw, and Monique Lemner, everybody, our coordinator, our extraordinary person. Monique has put together what she calls a run-of show, and they everybody down to the minute how much they have to talk. And she invited too many people that like to talk, including myself. And I got the mayor coming up now. Come on, and oh my God. Mr. Carter, 2 minutes? Come on, that's not going to happen. Let me make sure himself. And my friend Mahmoud, but we'll talk about it. We'll see how close we can to follow her orders, but also to celebrate with you this morning here. Before I go any deeper, I'd just like to acknowledge outstanding group of my employees that are here. Could we just raise my hand to my employees here? My employees are here. Thank you so much. And they're going to be around to escort you to the different floors, the different activities that's going on. And I've got a great show on my board of directors, please. Board of directors, will you please let people know in your house? Chair. And we have just a host of our Ujamaa men that's going to be embedded in this program during the podcast and just throughout the day. So they're excited about this day. Ujamaa men, please let people know you're in the house here. Thank you guys back there. I will probably do it later, but I just got to right now just to really acknowledge our great friends here at the Latimer St. Paul Library. Just amazing your support, your willing to share this space with us, not just this space, but every level for us to display Ujamaa, to display the talent we have. So there we go, my friends from the St. Paul Library. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. I do have the honor of giving you just a little bit of a flavor of what's going to happen before we get into the formal piece. But we are honored to have at least 3 legends in our community that's here with us today. When we get a chance to talk about Black History Month and to be able to acknowledge people that's in our midst. Some are hidden, but some are very visible. And we're just very fortunate that when I called Mayor Latimer, he said, "Man, you got some heavy hitters going to be there," you know. And we do. And no, I need introduction. But just you'll get you in a meet more intimately later, but in my own words, first of all, Dr. Josie Johnson, my mother here, Queen. She was a Ujamaa mama. She's also with a BB Club, which is Swahili for grandmothers, a group of grandmothers that provide that intergenerational experience for our young men. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And next to her is the infamous, legendary, incomparable Mr. Mahmoud El-Kati. I just love this man. There's nothing that authenticates the work of Ujamaa than to get this man blessings, to say that I respect what you're doing, Ujamaa, in our community. Nothing authenticates and make us know the one right path to get his endorsement. And he is truly a Ujamaa man, and we love him so much. The third one we have on that panel is a good friend of mine. I've been knowing him forever. Melvin Carter Jr. is a young man. So anybody know Mr. Carter personally, you know he's a great storyteller. And but to let you know, these are not just fish stories. He reduced this to writing, and it's something that we're just so pleased that he's able to put his story in writing, so we all know it for generations to come. So we're very honored to have him here with us. And I tell you, the true Ujamaa mama that we have in the house, don't have a stand, please. Ms. Valerie Castillo. Thank you, ma'am. Please let people in the house. Absolutely no introduction needed, but her Ujamaa story really continues after the assassination of her son in terms of her fight for justice, a fight for trying to make sure that the living memory is still alive, and how she used the message through Ujamaa to get that message across. So we call her often, and we're so glad that she's here to share a personal collection of her art. Art that was never originally intended to be on public display, but came from heartfelt people that expressed their legacy about Philando to her, and she has been willing to share that at a couple of venues. So her to unveil it here, we're just very honored. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing that. Well, if you haven't heard now, Monique will be disappointed, but we have a podcast team. We have a podcast team that does weekly service, and we got a couple of men in the back. Trevor, has your hand back there, Trevor, and also Trey, and Hassan is on his way. So we're glad to have those guys there doing their work there. And that's under the, and this podcast is under the leadership of, again, Monique Leonard with OMG Media. In this podcast, she does what we call a Ujamaa sketch. So this is a sketch that's being completed by the men, telling their stories from their perspective, and it's a sketch. And that's every week they give different things to put on, talk about their experience, being young black men as they navigate through life. So without further ado, I'd like to just get into a few more things on the program, and at this time, just say thank you to all of the guests and dignitaries that are here, exhibitors that you'll be able to see, volunteers, and again, the George Latimer staff here. And we celebrate this day acknowledging of our great history, as well as knowing for a fact that as we think about national heroes this month, we also celebrate our local legends as too. In addition to the ones we have here, we kind of think of Mr. Roy Wilkins. We think about other people that paved the way to make us be in this own midst and what have you here. So as we celebrate this, we're glad that you're here. And at this time, to put some fingerprints on this would be a proclamation from the city of St. Paul. And I would like at this time to invite Ms. Noah Nix up and Val Jensen.
I got you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So my name is Noel Nix, and I serve as the Deputy Director of Government Relations and Community Engagement in Mayor Carter's office. We bring greetings from Mayor Carter and are proud to be a part of this program and to be a partner with Ujamaa Place in the important work that you all do in the community. Ujamaa Place is recognized by the City of St. Paul as an organization that serves the most marginalized population in our society, African American men, between the ages of 18 and 30, who have lived in systemic poverty all their lives. Ujamaa Place wraps cultural love and provides 37 wraparound support services in this program model called the Theory of Transformation. The City of St. Paul joins the community in celebrating 10 years of service to Ujamaa Place. I want to take a few minutes to recognize the big shoulders we stand on right here in this room. These are our community's hidden figures in many ways, who have fought for civil rights in our community and paved the way for a lot of the liberties that we enjoy here locally and nationally. And I know Monique told me not to read their bios in full, but I see some young people in the room, and so I'm going to read their bios in full because they're very impressive. So Dr. Josie R. Johnson. She was born in Houston, Texas, on October 7th, 1930. She's the daughter of a Houston-based civil rights leader. She's played an active role in the civil rights movement since her teenage years, when she and her father gathered signatures in an anti-poll tax petition in her hometown. She earned her BA in sociology from Fisk University in Nashville and an MA and a doctorate from the University of Massachusetts Amherst. As a veteran civil rights leader, she's lobbied to pass Minnesota's anti-discrimination laws in 1956. She's a committed champion for fair housing, equal employment, and better educational outcomes for children. In 1967, she served as the acting director for the Minneapolis Urban League for 1 year. She taught in the African American Studies Department in the University of Minnesota and was later appointed to the University of Minnesota Board of Regents, where she served from 1971 to 1973. In 1992, she became the Associate Vice President in charge of Minority Affairs at the university and directed the All-University Forum as Diversity Director. Professor Mahmoud El-Kati is a lecturer, writer, and commentator on the African American experience. He specializes in African American history and advocates institution building within cultural communities. He's an advocate of building one's humanity through the understanding of their culture, history, and community. He's a professor emeritus of history at Macalester College here in St. Paul, and Macalester has established the Mahmoud El-Kati Distinguished Lectureship in American Studies in recognition of his scholarly and community work. This endowment, This endowment is used to bring distinguished scholars to Macalester for an extended engagement that includes public presentations, classroom appearances, and conversations with students, faculty, and local community. Mr. Melvin Carter Jr. He joined the St. Paul Police Department in 1974 and served nearly 40 years on the force. Felt like 40? Initially one of only a handful of black officers among the ranks, the department initially had to waive its height requirement to let him on. That's what it says here, sir. But he is anyone who knows him knows he is a force in his own right, and a son of the son of a son of St. Paul, a Navy sailor, boxer, musician, and for decades a well-known St. Paul police officer. His new autobiography, titled Dieselheart, talks about his life at important inflection points between America's often ignoble racial past and its most hopeful future. And then, of course, Otis Zanders, president and CEO of Ujamaa Place. He was raised during the Jim Crow era in Mississippi. He was the first family member in his family to finish high school. His mother insisted he attend college, in which he fulfilled her wish by winning an academic scholarship to Gustavus Adolphus College here in Minnesota. He credits his mother, who instilled a value system based on his African ancestry of love, strength, and determination in fighting for the most marginalized populations in our society. He received an internship with the Minnesota Department of Corrections during his final semester at Gustavus, and then during his 35-year career with the DOC, he served at various locations around Minnesota and retired as a warden of the Minnesota Correctional Facility in Red Wing, Minnesota. In 2012, he decided he was not quite ready for retirement and accepted the role as president and CEO of Ujamaa Place. His dedication and commitment to Ujamaa Place in serving marginalized African American men at the most vulnerable ages, whom lack education, are homeless, unemployed, and are facing all kinds of challenges, is his calling. In 2018, he was the recipient of the St. Paul and Minnesota Foundation's Facing Race Award, and for his dedication and service to improving the lives of marginalized populations in the communities. So you get it. These are our hidden figures. These are the people on whose shoulders we stand on every day as we try to continue to build on the important work that you've done in our community. And in commemoration of this event, I will turn it over to our new Director of Human Rights and Equal Employment Opportunity at the City of St. Paul, Ms. Jensen.
Thank you. As Noel has said, this is really an honor to be here. I know on the program it says Tony Newborn, but she couldn't be here. But on behalf of the mayor, the City of St. Paul proclamation, whereas Ujamaa Place is celebrating 10 years of social justice advocacy and service to its men in the community by stabilizing and transforming the lives of the least of these in society. And whereas Ujamaa Place is commemorating Black history and culture in partnership with St. Paul Public Library to celebrate our ancestors that paved the way for us to be free. And whereas Ujamaa Place is looking forward to the next 10 years of social justice advocacy for the most marginalized populations in society, African American men aged 18 to 30. Who have lived a life in systemic poverty and suffer trauma from living a life on the streets. And whereas Ujamaa Place understands the critical role that culture plays in the transformation of its men, and whereas the City of St. Paul, in conjunction with others throughout the United States of America, acknowledges February 8th, 2020 as Commemorate Black History and Culture Day, and urges all to promote justice and equality for the men of Ujamaa Place in the ways that are best suited for them, and to work together to ensure the best quality of life for them. Now, therefore, I, on behalf of Melvin Carter, Mayor of the City of St. Paul, do hereby proclaim Saturday, February 8th, 2020, to be Commemorate Black History and Culture Day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. On behalf of the Ujamaa family, of course, and friends, we humbly accept and honor for this day to be proclaimed, this day here. So without further ado, I know we're getting a little high sign from Miss Monique, but we just talk about our community partnerships, and we're going to move on pretty fastly. And I'm just going to ask the Deputy Director of the Public Services Library, Maureen Hartman, to come up to introduce George Latimer. And before I give her the mic, I just want to share with you that, please come up, please come up. Because she's gonna hurt me real bad. Okay, no, she's gonna hurt me real bad. But I arrived in the Twin Cities in 1977, and Mr. Latimer was the mayor at this time. He was mayor of St. Paul from 1976 through 1990. It's a long time. But anyway, I just wanted to say that during this time that there was a very comfort to have his leadership for new arrival to the Twin Cities. During this time was when there was a lot of growth in the suburbs. A lot of people were leaving the inner cities, and St. Paul was trying to embrace and adopt to a very diverse culture. And I think it's quite evident that he set a good tone for that, and I'm a recipient of that, so I just want to personally thank my friend for that. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm Maureen Hartman. I'm the Deputy Director of Public Services, and on behalf of our Library Director, Catherine Pinkard, and our whole staff and team, we are so happy and fortunate. I feel like we've won the lottery to have this event here. At the St. Paul Public Library, we imagine a St. Paul where all people feel safe, seen, welcome, and connected. We imagine a city where libraries bring people together to experience hope, joy, and creativity through learning. And I can't imagine a better way of demonstrating those values than being part of Ujamaa Place's 10-year celebration today. So thank you so much for having this event here. I'm excited to welcome you here, and please explore this library throughout your day. But my main task is to introduce former Mayor George Latimer. And many things could be said, but I want to just give a library perspective on that. He is the Chair Emeritus of the Friends of the St. Paul Public Library. And in 2014, we renamed this building in his honor. And I had a moment just to talk with him. From a library perspective, we often call this library George. So I don't know if former Mayor Latimer knew that, but he knows that now. And we also refer to it as, what library do you work at? Oh, we work at George Latimer. So just a little insight into libraries, but we could not be more thrilled and more privileged to have his name connected to the library because he's been such a huge supporter. And on a personal note, my husband's family came here as refugees in the mid-'70s and lived in St. Paul for many years, many decades. My husband's mother does as well. So just a personal note of thank you for Mayor Carter for helping make St. Paul real for my family as well. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to former Mayor George Latimer.
Anyone who knows Otis knows that he minted and invented tough love. So when he invited me, I was gushing all over him about the lineup he's got. What a beautiful day. And he outgushed me by saying, but we think it's wonderful that you can be here and speak for maybe 2 minutes and not more than 3. Now, that's what we call tough love. But it's about the right timing for such a beautiful day, incredible day, and beautiful people. A lot of us of all complexions can look back with a lot of sadness and a lot of shame with how we've treated each other. with you being here, Ms. Castillo, as a reminder that it's not ending. But we're reminded that Dr. King did tell us, truly told us, that the arc of history, though bends slowly, bends toward justice. But the people in this room, and these marvelous people, these artists, where did you find that guy? He could make seriously big money. I'll bet you're not getting paid that much. But the stories we hear and the history of Ujamaa and what you're all doing tells us that the arc doesn't move toward justice by itself. It moves there by all of us moving it toward justice. And that's what Ujamaa and that's what Otis does. Bless you all, and bless Ujamaa.
Thank you.
How many minutes was I? 2?
Don't worry about it, man. I deal with Monique afterwards here. But, you know, as you came into the facility, I hope you had a chance to pick up your passports. Your passport to make sure that you get around to see visit with our distinguished guests, our legends, our leaders among us today. And Monique has promised that people who turn them back in may get a prize when it's all said and done. And so, but it's just our way of making sure that you engage. Again, on the different floors, we have our staff are going to be here to help escort people around. Again, as we get down the introductory part, to note that the exhibits, the authors will be on the 4th floor here in the author's loft here. And this Ms. Philomena Castillo's art in the healing exhibit is on the 3rd floor. And music therapy is also on the 3rd floor. Music therapy is one of the favorite classes we do in Ujamaa. The young men and our staff get a chance to express their trauma, their hurt, their love, and for hope through music and through entertainment. So we thought that it'd be a great way to share one of our curriculums with you today as this arts expression here. So I think you enjoy seeing how our men, our staff, and you get to interpret your feelings through music. And so that's going to be on the 3rd floor that we have here. So with that being said, thank you so much for being here. I know you're anxious to interact with our legends here. We want to give you the opportunity to do so. With that, on behalf of the Ujamaa board, staff, and family, welcome. Thank you for being here.
All right, everyone, enjoy the exhibit and have a great time with your family. Thank you.
Thank you.
he was at home enjoying his evening before he found out what happened to the man. Time stopped. And it's just an example of how people dealt with the pain and the sorrow in response to a tragedy. They created art.
Oh, yeah, that there was shoot the usual coop. People walking around looking and stuff. Yeah, have fun. All right.
This is my town. This is my hometown.